Stephen interviews you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Stephen Interviews You. This is episode number 25, and this is a series where I sit down and have a good chat with a very special guest, and his name would be, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Charlie Fadel. I am a journalism student currently in my junior year at OU, and yeah, super excited to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Charlie, and let's get started. Let's get started with the Post, the student-run newspaper at
Mhm.
Ohio University. Um, how did you get started with it? How did you get to that decision where you were like, yeah, I want to start writing sports articles for the university?
Yeah, so I'm the sports editor now in my junior year,
Okay.
and that's going great. But really, when I was in high school, I've always loved writing and I've always loved sports. Those have been kind of my two interests. In high school, I was never a big math guy or science guy. I always really liked English classes and things like that. So I wanted to get into just writing and wanted to maybe make it possible to do it as my career. And out of high school, I toured OU. I really liked it. I was really deciding between OU and Dayton. My parents went to Dayton. I have a lot of family from Dayton. I grew up watching UD basketball. So, but I really was deciding between those two schools, and ultimately, like the journalism school here at OU really sold me on OU, and it's like really the best decision I could have ever made. I love it here. It's been great. And really, when I came here to tour, I was able to tour the Post and kind of take a look at what some of the things that they did, and it was just awesome. Like I was super impressed, and I really knew that I wanted to be part of it when I came here. So the coming to the Post was really like one of the main decisions, one of the main reasons why I came here. And yeah, I got started right away as a freshman. My first week, signed up. I'd never written anything before. Like my high school never had a newspaper, so I never was able to get any bylines or do anything like that. But I started right away and started with field hockey. That was really fun. Then eventually did women's basketball and baseball. Then last year I started on football, and that was awesome. Football's my favorite sport. OU has a great football team, so it's super fun to cover. And yeah, it's just been great. It's been a great decision. It's been great for me, and I've been loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be my next question. In general, how has it been like to cover OU sports across the board, no matter what sport it is? Just take me through it. What has it
Yeah.
been like being the sports editor slash writer?
It's been great. It's been super fun. It's such a good opportunity that like the Post gives. Like you're like myself, I was able to come in as a freshman and immediately start writing like a week later. Starting with field hockey, and ever since then it's been great. Like I just mentioned, all the sports that I ran through, but yeah, it's been super awesome and it's a great experience. Like the people are here are super kind to the media, super great to the media. People like Sarah Legarski and Sarah Newgard, and Becca Gaddy have all been great. Um, and yeah, they're it's just super welcoming. Like OU obviously in Athens is in a huge city. There isn't a ton of media coverage, so you're really with the other people you're with and you're surrounded with are other students, which is really cool. Whether it be my other assistant editor at the Post or kids from Woob, kids from WB that are covering the games. So it's just a really fun environment. Like everyone's kind of helping each other. Everyone's kind of going through the same stuff, which is super great. And yeah, it's been super fun. I've had such great experiences. Like being able to cover the MAC title last year was really awesome. I was obviously a great win. Um, Being able to just cover football again, and this year we were able to go to New Jersey and obviously for Rutgers and Ohio State. Um, Basketball, we went to the Louisville game, and it's been an awesome opportunity. It's been really fun, and yeah, I'm super grateful and thankful for the Post that they've been able to kind of give me that opportunity, and yeah, it's been super fun.
So you said that football was basically your favorite sport to cover.
Yeah.
Um, so the question, being, why is it your favorite sport to cover, football, if you had to put it in a nutshell?
So there's something about football season. Like football is just my favorite sport. I played football in high school, really my entire life. I played football in high school, and I loved all my 4 years doing that. It was super fun, and um, football is just the best sport on earth. I think it's super fun. It's extremely fun to watch, and especially college football season. Like there's nothing really like it. Like it's just been a great time, and I've been super lucky to cover a great team the last couple 2 years. Obviously, in 2024. They won the MAC. That was an awesome season. They won 11 games. We were there for pretty much every game. We went to Orlando for the bowl game as well, and it was just that was an awesome time to awesome way to cap the year. And then this year they were super good as well. Obviously, we went to the Rutgers game. They fell short, but that was a great game. They really should have won that one. The West Virginia win was awesome. There's just been so many great moments that I've been able to kind of experience covering OU football. And then the players as well. I mentioned some of the people at OU in the athletic department that have been great, but the actual players themselves have been awesome. Like, being able to talk to all the players, they've all been super nice. Like I always tell people, like every player that I talked to is nicer than the last one. Like I was able to talk to Parker Navarro a bunch. He was awesome. Able to talk to Marcel Walker Burgess is a guy that really only like people that really pay attention to OU football will remember that name. But he was an awesome guy. He was super kind, and just the athletes themselves really make it great as well. They're super nice, and it's just been great to work with them. And yeah, it's been awesome. Football, especially here, is awesome and special. I think really at OU.
Yeah. So when making content for the posts, for the articles that you write, how much work exactly goes into making that content? Because some people might not be familiar with the whole process of writing an article, getting the information you need, and just putting it all together.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it just depends on what it is. Like we mainly do previews, recaps, and then the feature stories are really the fun ones. The previews are pretty easy. Like, you obviously research about the opponent, kind of come up with what their style of play is, who their best players are, what their coach is like, things like that. And then recaps are fun as well. And those obviously, you go to the game, you watch the game. The whole time I'm live tweeting and taking notes about the game. Thinking about what I want to ask, the coach or the players that we get. Obviously, then using their quotes to kind of help me form my story. But the features are really where it's fun. Features are where you're able to really dive deep into your subject or into the person that you're talking to. Um, like I remember I did a Q&A with Blake Leak, who's another guy that only real OU football fans are going to remember. But he was awesome, and I was able to find a bunch of different details and ask him about a bunch of different things that you know otherwise I wouldn't have if I didn't do like my research and things like that. So it just depends on what it is, but really the features definitely take the most amount of work. I think just trying to find different nuggets about these different players or coaches, and then asking them like crafting the questions to ask them good questions to be able to get the quotes that kind of form the story and make it so good. So yeah, I would say it's not a huge like it's not a super crazy process, especially for like the previews and recaps. The game kind of does the work for you. You just have to write about it. Being there. But yeah, it's super fun. The features are definitely the most fun to write about and to kind of put together. So yeah.
Yeah. So this is more of a fun question here, and this is about Ohio University, the fans. Whether it's on campus or just through the city of Athens, Ohio
Mhm.
itself, how passionate, in your opinion, how passionate are these fans exactly? Because sometimes we may see it in the games, other times we may not know just how amped up they are for games, no matter what sport it is.
Yeah, super passionate. I mean, Athens, like I already said, it's a smaller city, smaller town. It's a huge college town. That OU is a surprisingly big school. There's over, I know, at least 20,000 undergraduate students. So the student body is big, and they really support the teams, and they show up for the games. West Virginia obviously was like the biggest example, but that was a lot of West Virginia fans were there. It was about 65-35 OU fans, I want to say, impeding that day. It was an awesome environment, and that was obviously a great win. There was a ton of OU people there for that win. But even the Miami game, I mean, that was a Tuesday night, action game. It was freezing cold. It's a school night, and it was absolutely jam packed. Like the student section was full. All the students were wearing black, which matched the theme. And that was another game where I think the environment really made a difference, and the fans that were there were treated to a huge win. Um, Obviously, basketball is the other huge sport here, and the students really show up for that too. The team has had their struggles this year, but for the opening game against Arkansas State, the student section was packed. Like with 30 minutes to go before tip, like you really see the difference in some of these other schools in the MAC, like with their fans. Like especially, I think it's hard to compare us to bigger Power Five programs, but when you compare us to other schools in our conference, I think that OU has some of the most passionate fans, especially students and the alumni. as well. Like the alumni connections here are great. So many alumni like have reached out to me or talked to me, especially from the Post and from the journalism school and things like that. So it's huge, and the fans here are really great and really special, and it's part of what makes OU and Athens such a special place to be. So yeah.
Yeah. So ever since you got started writing for the Post, um, and you've observed this with the sports programs at OU, how much has Ohio University athletics, how has it developed and improved over the last few years? Um, if if you could just sum it up.
Honestly, I think more than anything, it stayed super consistent. Like when I got here as a freshman, that was obviously Tim Albin's. That was they were Tim Albin's. I want to say third year, second year, third year. I want to say, with the team, and they were picked by unanimously pretty much to win the MAC with Curtis Rourke. That was CA's year before he transferred to Minnesota. Keith Thompson, Bryce Houston were there as well, and that team didn't win the MAC, but they won 10 games. The year after, they won 11. This year, they won 9. It's been super, super consistent. With basketball, I came as a freshman. Women's basketball, especially, like they were coming off of a tough year. My freshman year, they made the MAC tournament. Last year was another tough year, but this year they're back at it. They've won a bunch of games. They're doing really well. They're currently middle of the pack in the MAC, fighting for a MAC tournament spot, for a higher seed in the MAC tournament. So that's been really great to see. Bob Bolden is a great coach and a guy that I really enjoy talking to. Um, but I think overall it's stayed pretty consistent. Men's basketball is super steady with Jeff Bowles, obviously his coach. Um, my freshman year, soccer won the MAC. You see different teams kind of pop up and have these great years. Softball last year was fantastic. They were a game away from winning the MAC tournament. So yeah, like I think OU overall is one of the more successful sports. Volleyball this year was great. We just have such a great athletic department and great athletic programs. All the coaches here are super nice and super kind and just great people and great coaches as well. I mean, you see a lot of the success that they've had. So yeah, I mean, I would say more than anything, OU has been super, super consistent, super steady, with success, which is a great thing to have, especially at the mid-major group of 5 level.
Yeah. So going back to the football team, the Ohio Bobcats, um, this past season, yeah, we won 9 games, still a good year.
Mhm.
But certain things were going on, and we're not going to get into the stuff behind the scenes
Yeah.
for obvious reasons. But just on the field, we ended up playing in the Frisco Bowl against the UNLV Rebels.
Mhm.
Um, Take me through that period of time in particular. How important was that game, even though it was just your typical bowl game? How important was that game? And what's been the buzz like ever since then? Ever since, of course, we beat UNLV and we've been developing the team again ever since.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's tough to, we don't want to get into like what, the specifics of what happened
Right.
with Brian Smith and the football team, but it was a super big period. I wasn't able to go to the bowl game in Frisco. It was 2 days before Christmas in Dallas at 9 o'clock. It was kind of a tough time, but watching from home, it was super important. John Hauser, who's a guy that's been here with Albin or been here since Tim Albin for a while, he took over last year in 2024, and people were concerned when Spence Nowinski left after 2023. He had a great defense. John Hauser brought in a bunch of guys and had just as good of a defense in 2024. The defense that won the MAC, held Miami to 3 points in the MAC tournament or in the MAC title, excuse me. So he's already proven himself to be a great coach, a great defensive coach, especially. But I think it was super important for the university, to kind of see what he could do, leading the team as a head coach. OU were the underdogs in that game for sure. UNLV was a great team. They were the Mountain West runner-ups. It's a great Group of 5 conference. It's definitely better than the MAC. And I think people were pretty surprised to see a team with an interim head coach. Again, it was the second straight year with no bowl dropouts. No one had transferred. No one had entered the portal. Up until the bowl game. So that was super huge. And the way that I think the defense played in that game, especially, was super impressive. They held UNLV to under 20 points. That was an offense that was great. Anthony Calandria was a great quarterback. He's a guy that they'll see again week 1 with Nebraska. So that'll be super interesting. But I think Hauser really earned himself that head coaching job. with the win over UNLV in the Frisco Bowl. And I don't think anyone else should have gotten that job. There were rumors with Kevin Johns, who's a guy that's been around college football for a while. He's an Ohio guy, but so is Hauser. Hauser's from Ohio. He played football at Wittenberg, and he's just a great coach. And I think that it was a great move for the program, and I think that he's going to do really good things. Like I said, like this consistency and this ability with the team has really been a great, great thing. And making another internal hire, even after a lot of the drama that went on during that time, was, I think, a smart move and a move that was going to pay off in the long run for Ohio. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do think that was important for the Bobcats to show up for the Frisco Bowl and to do what they did. And what an impressive way to finish that season. And
Yeah,
I do think
definitely.
we're set up for success again this upcoming season, 2026. It should be very interesting. Um, Sticking to the Mid American Conference, the conference that the Ohio Bobcats play in for all sports. Um, I just got done making a video and I put it on YouTube not too long ago about conference realignment.
Hmm.
And there have been off and on rumors about which MAC schools maybe possibly might be thinking about jumping to another conference. It is a hot topic among college
Yeah.
football fans, conference realignment. Um, Last year, there were some rumors here and there popping up about maybe Ohio was thinking about going to the Sun Belt Conference. Um, that was not reported by the Post. That was reported by another newspaper. But
Hmm.
what are your thoughts on that? When something like that happens, like Ohio rumored to think about going to the Sun Belt, what are your thoughts on that? Uh, what are you thinking as a fan of the MAC?
Yeah, I mean, I do really love the MAC. It's a one of a kind conference. Obviously, like people tune in for the matching games on the weeknights. But I think looking at it objectively, I think that, like, I hate to say it, but I think that it'll end up kind of with the same fate as the Pac-12. I think it'll kind of get left behind in the grand scheme of things. NIU's already made the jump, to the Mountain West, which I don't necessarily think that was a great move for them. Obviously, they were a program that was super dominant in the early 2010s. They haven't been as dominant. They had the big win over Notre Dame, but we'll see how that works out for them. I think moving to a conference like the Sun Belt for OU, I think is really intriguing. And I honestly think that should kind of be the goal for them. Just truthfully, like the MAC is sort of objectively, it's one of the worst conferences objectively in Division One football in the FBS. Um, but it's still a great conference, and obviously OU's had a lot of success in it. But I think if looking at the grand scheme of things, I think it would be in their best interest to kind of jump ship, especially to a conference like the Sun Belt, which has really proven itself to be one of the upper echelon group of five conferences in FBS football, which is obviously the main money making sport um, for these universities. Um, People talk about like the travel time, and I also agree. Like I hate, having Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. Geographically, I think it's super annoying, and I don't love it. But I think it would be. I just think it would be in their best interest. Honestly, the MAC is a great conference, but I think in the next couple of years, you'll see teams like Toledo, especially Miami, Ohio, teams that have had more success in the MAC, look to jump elsewhere. Even an example of like Jason Candle like leaving Toledo. That was a guy who built such a great program in Toledo, and they're still a great program. I think their hire of Mike Jacobs was really good, but Jason Candle was a guy that could have stayed Toledo for as long as he wanted. He jumped ship to a UConn team that isn't in a conference. They're an independent team, and I think that kind of signifies like, man, like the MAC is just not really where you want to be, especially for a coach like Candle who had his opportunities to go elsewhere. So personally, if I was the athletic director, I would be looking into it pretty heavily. You get the chance to play Marshall again a lot. That was a big rivalry that gets brought back. Teams like James Addison, we will be having a home and home with them in the near future. That's one of the best G5 teams in the country. They just obviously made the college football playoff. So I think, and if we're able to win games like that, I think that really shows that we're one of the upper echelon G5 teams, especially with the recent success that OU has had. So I would say I just think it's in their best interest probably to maybe look elsewhere. You don't want to be like Oregon State and Washington State. You don't want to get left behind in these conferences that are just more or less dead. I know the Pac-12 has kind of rebounded and they've gotten teams like Boise State to join, but Then again, look what happened to the Mountain West, who are now, having a bunch of FCS teams come up. Um, it's just not, college football is a crazy place to be in right now, and I think if you're OU, you want to sort of get ahead of it. So that's just my 2 cents. Honestly, I would look elsewhere, especially.
Right. And just to follow up on that real fast, um, is there anything that you think the MAC could do to improve their position as a conference? We know about the economics that they've had economic issues lately, and
Uh-huh.
they have a media rights deal that's coming up here in 2027 with ESPN. Whether it's going to get renewed or not, we don't know yet. But is there anything that the MAC can do to basically improve so that everybody that's still in the conference can still keep going?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think you look to add teams, and they did that when they added UMass. That obviously turned out not great on the football side. Obviously, UMass didn't win the game. I think that'll change. I doubt they'll go winless again. Um, I would look to add a team like Western Kentucky, who's had a lot of success in the Conference USA. They built themselves as a pretty decent brand. Um, Middle Tennessee State was a team that I know they looked to add that kind of fell through. I just think the MAC has kind of missed their opportunities on adding some of these CUSA teams that are looking for other homes and conferences, especially adding teams like UMass. Like, that investment turned out to be kind of poor. UMass is a huge school that has a huge alumni base and a huge fan base. It's the flagship school of Massachusetts, but when the football team doesn't win a game, like that ultimately doesn't really matter that much. Like when the games are empty at UMass, it doesn't really matter that much. So yeah, I would look to maybe try and add a Western Kentucky, some of those CUSA teams that could use a home. Um, I know North Dakota State just joined the Mountain West. I saw, which is really crazy. I think that's some news that's gone kind of under the rug. Like I think if North Dakota State were to come to the MAC, I think they win it like pretty easily. I think they'd be the favorite at least to win it. So, I don't know. Adding some FCS teams, some higher level FCS teams could be in their best interest, but it's tough. The outlook for all of these G5 conferences is really tough. As the SEC and the Big Ten try to rule over everything. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I go through this with conference realignment all the time, and I've been hearing lately about certain FCS schools, maybe rumored to, think about making the jump. It could be a good fit for the MAC. I've heard a very popular rumor going out there about Illinois State, the Redbirds,
Mhm.
maybe being a good fit since Northern Illinois just left. Maybe that's a possibility. And
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around Sacramento State. I've heard like maybe is and to your point that the travel across the country it's just hard to consider.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Illinois State is a team that would be a huge get for the MAC, I think. They were in the FCS national title. They were like a play away from winning it. They have a great basketball program who came into the combo this year, and um, we the OU ended up winning that game, but it was a great game. It was super competitive. I think that'd be a great get. Sacramento State to me, they feel gimmicky, like in the way that they've made all these headlines, all this money that they're bringing in efforts to join, an FBS conference or a Division One conference and to make the jump. But it's tough. Their football team, with all that money, they play in the Big Sky, which is a really competitive conference, but they weren't that competitive in it this year. They have been in the past, but they weren't that competitive in it this year. Their basketball team has been really bad. They get these big name guys like Mikey Williams, and I know one of Shaq's sons plays there, but that hasn't really come to fruition. I think it would be good as far as like grabbing attention, like getting a school like Sac State that has like brand recognition now that they've made all these headlines. Like I think that'd be good for the MAC. I don't know how it would turn out long term, especially making teams like us and Kent State and Bowling Green having to fly. Even UMass is gonna have to fly coast to coast to go play there. Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Illinois State is a team though that I think would be really really good to bring in. They have a strong athletic, prowess in the FCS and in those lower level conferences.
Yeah. So going back to the post,
Mhm.
and writing these articles. When you do interviews, when you interview Bobcats players or coaches or even the staff, like the AD, for example, um, could you provide like any tips for those that are wanting to get into sports news reporting? Could you provide any tips on what you should do when preparing for an interview for players, coaches, and staff?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just to do your research and to know your stuff. Like, obviously, if you're interviewing someone and they're taking the time to kind of talk to you, like, you want to be able to respect their time and make sure that you know what you're talking about. Have questions prepared beforehand, do your research, kind of know what you want to talk to them about. Always be prepared. But honestly, the biggest thing is just to kind of like it's just really to be like a genuine guy and be nice, be kind, like be personal with them. They're not these are people, they're not just athletes, like and getting getting the best answers out of them is like you kind of have to be personal. You have to be, a nice guy and talk to them like a normal guy and make them want to open up and make them feel comfortable talking to you, or else it's like, it's awkward and it's not good for you. It's not good for them. Like no one really gets anything out of it. So the biggest thing I would say is just to kind of be personable. Like, yeah, be personable, be prepared for sure, but really just like be personable, be kind to them, be nice, like, just be genuine. And that's really the biggest thing I would say.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. I've always, when I talk to people, I've always been of the mindset that you can't be something you're not. You have to be yourself. You have to, when you talk to people, whether it's an interview or anything else, you just have to be yourself.
Mhm.
You have to be
Yeah,
genuine, and that's where it has to start, just being yourself. So, yeah.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
so one last question before we start wrapping this up. Um, when it comes to in the future, the outlook for Ohio University, getting back to economics a little bit, um, when you're doing your research about economics, like revenue generating for Ohio University, what is the outlook uh, looking ahead when it comes to like the football program, other sports programs? Is Ohio on an upward trend from what the information you gather?
It's kind of hard to say. I think, the two revenue sports, basketball and football, this goes for most schools in that they pay for pretty much the other sports at the school. OU has a great softball team, but they just don't make that much money, which is a shame. They're a great team, they have great players. Jenna Hall's a great coach, but really the football team and the basketball team are funding these schools with the TV deals, and then just the ticket sales as well. Like those are the most attended games. Um, but I think like one of the big things that I reported on was the logo change that's coming to OU. Like, you know, I think that decision is um interesting. Like Grant Kiefer from WAB reported that his source said that athletics wasn't really consulted in making that decision. I think it's a big one. I think it's going to cost a lot of money to um to replace all these logos around campus and on the team sports, jerseys and logos and different things like that around the stadium. Like I think for such a minor change to the Attack Cat and to the Arch Ohio logo, I think that I don't really love that decision, but I agree. I like that they're making it one logo for the academic side of the school and the athletic side of the school. I think that's a smart decision, but I don't know if financially it's great. In theory, it's great to just change that, but when you actually have to, make all the changes physically and do all that stuff around campus and around the school, I think it kind of hurts them. And OU isn't exactly a team or a school that can afford that something like that. Like for any G5 program, like you're not making a ton of money. That's just kind of the way it is. But I don't know. I think that decision in particular is kind of tough.
Yeah. So for you guys watching this, I'll provide a link in the description box below that will take you to Charlie Fidel's content on the post featuring him, and you can search through the posts in general for all the content that all the sports editors and writers out there make. I highly encourage you guys to check it out because it's really good stuff. It's very informative, and you'll definitely get something out of it. Uh, Thank you so much, Charlie Fidel, for being here, for taking on this interview. And yeah, let's hope that everything works out for OU in the future for sports and for
Yep.
academics and all that. So yeah, guys, if you would be so kind, please leave a like at the after watching this video. Please subscribe if you're new to this channel. Click the notification bell for all updates. And we'll be back soon enough with more interview related content. This is Stephen Interviews You, episode number 25. Stephen Vitz signing out.